The anomaly. Dr. Evelyn Thorne rubbed her bleary eyes and squinted at the pulsating signal on her monitor. The observatory control room was dimly lit, the only illumination coming from the array of screens casting an eerie glow. She'd been tracking this anomaly for hours now, watching as it danced across the star map, taunting her with its inexplicable rhythm. "What are you?" she whispered, fingers flying across the keyboard as she attempted to refine the signal's coordinates. Evelyn had spent the better part of a decade scanning the cosmos for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, but she'd never seen anything quite like this. The door to the control room hissed open and her research partner, Dr. Mikhail Petrov, strode in, two steaming mugs of coffee in hand. "I thought you could use a pick-me-up," he said, placing one of the mugs on her desk. "Any progress?" Evelyn gratefully wrapped her hands around the warm ceramic and took a sip, savoring the rich, bitter flavor. "I'm not sure," she admitted. "This signal, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered. The frequency, the amplitude modulation, it's almost as if it's trying to communicate with us." Mikhail leaned over her shoulder, his brow furrowing as he studied the data. "It's definitely artificial," he mused. "No known celestial body could produce a signal with these characteristics. Have you run it through the decryption algorithms?" She nodded. "I've tried every protocol we have, but nothing seems to make sense of it. It's like it's speaking a language we don't understand." "Perhaps that's exactly what it's doing," Mikhail said, his voice tinged with excitement. "An alien language transmitted from the depths of space. Evelyn, this could be it. The proof we've been searching for." Evelyn felt a thrill run down her spine at the possibility, but she forced herself to remain cautious. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," she warned. "We need more data before we can make any conclusions." For the next several hours, they worked tirelessly, refining their instruments and analyzing every scrap of information they could glean from the mysterious signal. Slowly but surely, a pattern began to emerge, a complex sequence of pulses and pauses that seemed to repeat at regular intervals. "I think I've got something," Evelyn said at last, her voice trembling with barely contained excitement. "These pulses, they're not random. There's a structure to them, a syntax. It's a message." Mikhail's eyes widened as he looked over the data. "You're right," he breathed. "But what does it say?" "I don't know," Evelyn admitted, "but I intend to find out. We need to bring this to the attention of the observatory director, Dr. Agarwal. She needs to see this." Dr. Agarwal was initially skeptical, but as Evelyn and Mikhail presented their findings, her expression shifted from one of doubt to one of astonishment. "This is extraordinary," she said, shaking her head in disbelief. "If your analysis is correct, this could be the most significant discovery in the history of astronomy." She immediately authorized them to devote all available resources to deciphering the message. For days, the observatory was a hive of activity as scientists from every discipline worked around the clock to unravel the mystery. Finally, after countless hours of work, they had a breakthrough. "It's a set of coordinates," Evelyn announced to the assembled team, her voice trembling with excitement. "The message, it's telling us where to find them." The room erupted in a chorus of gasps and excited murmurs. "Them?" Dr. Agarwal asked, her eyes wide. "You mean extraterrestrials," Mikhail confirmed, a grin spreading across his face. "The signal is coming from an alien spacecraft, and it's headed straight for us. According to these coordinates, it will enter our solar system in a matter of days." The news sent shockwaves through the astronomical community and beyond. Governments scrambled to prepare for the unprecedented encounter, while the public alternated between excitement and terror at the prospect of first contact. As for Evelyn, she could hardly contain her anticipation. She had dedicated her life to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and now it seemed that search had finally borne fruit. She knew there were countless challenges ahead: communicating with an alien species, ensuring a peaceful encounter, grappling with the philosophical and scientific implications of their existence. But as she gazed up at the night sky, watching for any sign of the approaching spacecraft, she felt a sense of purpose and determination wash over her. Whatever lay ahead, she knew that she and her fellow humans would face it head-on. They had come too far to turn back now. The future of their species, and perhaps the galaxy itself, hung in the balance. With a final, determined nod, Evelyn turned back to her work, ready to unravel the next piece of the puzzle. The anomaly had been detected, and the stage was set for a journey beyond anything they had ever imagined. All that remained was to see where it would lead them. First contact. The alien spacecraft landed in a remote stretch of the Atacama Desert, kicking up clouds of red dust as it settled onto the arid soil. Evelyn Thorne stood at the edge of the makeshift command center, her heart pounding as she watched the sleek, metallic craft glint in the harsh sunlight. Beside her, a team of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel buzzed with activity, preparing for the momentous encounter. They had rehearsed this moment countless times, going over every possible scenario and contingency plan. But now that the moment had finally arrived, Evelyn felt a sense of trepidation wash over her. What if they had misinterpreted the signal? What if the aliens were hostile, or simply uninterested in communicating with them? She pushed the doubts aside and focused on the task at hand. They had come too far to let fear hold them back now. As the spacecraft's hatch began to open, a hush fell over the assembled crowd. Evelyn held her breath, her eyes straining to catch a glimpse of the extraterrestrial being within. At first, all she could see was a blinding white light emanating from the depths of the craft. But as her eyes adjusted, she began to make out a figure moving towards them, its form obscured by the harsh glare. Slowly, the figure emerged from the light, and Evelyn felt her jaw drop in astonishment. The alien was humanoid in shape, but its skin was a deep, iridescent blue, shot through with swirling patterns of bioluminescence. Its eyes were large and almond-shaped, glittering with an otherworldly intelligence. As the alien stepped forward, Evelyn noticed that it was wearing some kind of exosuit, a sleek, form-fitting garment that seemed to ripple and shift with its movements. In its hand, it held a small spherical device, which pulsed with the same hypnotic rhythm as the signal they had first detected. For a long moment, the two species simply stared at each other, each taking in the sight of a being utterly unlike anything they had ever encountered before. Then the alien raised its free hand in a gesture that was unmistakably a sign of greeting. "Welcome to Earth," Evelyn said, her voice trembling slightly as she stepped forward. "We come in peace." To her surprise, the alien responded in perfect English, its voice soft and melodic. "Thank you for your welcome," it said. "I am Zoran, an explorer from the star system you know as Kepler 452. I come on behalf of my people, seeking your help in a matter of grave importance." Evelyn exchanged a glance with her colleagues, her mind racing with questions. How did the alien know their language? What kind of help did it need? She took a deep breath and nodded, gesturing for Zoran to follow her to the command center. As they walked, Zoran explained that its people, the Keplerians, were a highly advanced species that had long ago mastered interstellar travel. They had been observing Earth for centuries, studying the planet's diverse ecosystems and the rise of human civilization. "We have always been fascinated by your species," Zoran said, its bioluminescent skin pulsing with each word. "Your resilience, your adaptability, your insatiable curiosity. These are qualities we admire and seek to emulate." Evelyn felt a swell of pride at the alien's words, but it was tempered by a growing sense of unease. "You said you needed our help," she prompted gently. "What exactly did you have in mind?" Zoran's expression grew somber, and it clutched the spherical device more tightly in its hand. "My people are dying," it said softly. "A plague has swept through our civilization, a virus unlike anything we have ever encountered before. Our greatest scientists and doctors have been unable to find a cure, and time is running out." Evelyn's heart sank at the news. She had hoped that their first contact with an alien species would be a joyous occasion, a chance to learn and grow together. But it seemed that even the most advanced civilizations were not immune to the ravages of disease. "I am sorry to hear that," she said sincerely. "But what makes you think we can help? Our medical technology is surely primitive compared to yours." Zoran shook its head. "On the contrary," it said, "your species' adaptability and resilience extend to your biology as well. Your immune systems are remarkably flexible, able to respond to and overcome a wide range of pathogens. It is this quality that we hope to harness in our search for a cure." Evelyn's mind raced with the implications of Zoran's words. If what it said was true, then humanity held the key to saving an entire alien civilization. It was a staggering responsibility, but also an incredible opportunity. She glanced at her colleagues, seeing the same mix of excitement and trepidation on their faces. They were all aware of the risks involved, the potential for misunderstandings, accidents, or even hostilities. But they also knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to make a difference on a truly cosmic scale. "We will do everything in our power to help you," Evelyn said at last, her voice firm with resolve. "But we will need to know more about this virus and about your physiology and medical technology. Can you share that information with us?" Zoran nodded, holding out the spherical device. "This contains all the data you will need," it said. "I have encoded it in a format that your computers should be able to process. I only ask one thing in return, that you work quickly. My people are counting on us, and time is of the essence." Evelyn took the device, feeling its weight in her hand. She knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, fraught with challenges and setbacks. But she also knew that they could not turn away from this chance to prove their worth, to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. With a final nod to Zoran, she turned to her team, her eyes blazing with determination. "Let's get to work," she said. "We have a civilization to save." A desperate plea. The atmosphere in the command center was electric as Evelyn Thorne and her team pored over the data Zoran had provided. The alien sat nearby, its bioluminescent skin pulsing softly as it watched them work. On the main screen, a complex molecular structure rotated slowly, its twisting strands of DNA unlike anything Evelyn had ever seen before. This was the virus that was ravaging the Keplerian civilization, a microscopic enemy that had brought an advanced species to its knees. "It's like nothing on Earth," Dr. Amita Patel, the team's lead virologist, murmured as she studied the readouts. "The way it attacks the host cells, the speed at which it replicates, it's almost as if it were designed to be as deadly as possible." Evelyn frowned, zooming in on a particular segment of the viral genome. "Could it be a bioweapon?" she asked. "Something created by a rival species, perhaps?" Zoran shook its head. "We have considered that possibility," it said, "but we have found no evidence to support it. The virus appears to have evolved naturally, perhaps jumping from an animal host to our population. By the time we realized the danger, it had already spread too far to contain." The alien's words sent a chill down Evelyn's spine. She knew all too well the devastating impact a pandemic could have on a society. Earth had suffered its own share of outbreaks over the centuries, from the Black Death to the Spanish flu to the COVID-19 crisis. Each had left a trail of death and disruption in its wake, testing the limits of human resilience and ingenuity. But this was different. The Keplerians were not dealing with a mundane terrestrial virus, but an extraterrestrial pathogen that had evolved in a completely different ecosystem. The challenges they faced were orders of magnitude greater than anything humanity had ever encountered. "What are the symptoms?" Dr. Patel asked, her brow furrowed in concentration. "How does the virus manifest in your people?" Zoran's expression grew pained, and for a moment, Evelyn saw a flicker of deep sorrow in its luminous eyes. "It starts with fever and fatigue," it said softly. "But as the virus spreads through the body, it begins to attack the nervous system, causing hallucinations, delirium, and eventually paralysis. In the final stages, the victim's bioluminescence fades away completely, leaving them a husk of their former selves. Evelyn felt a pang of sympathy for the alien. She could only imagine the horror of watching one's loved ones succumb to such a cruel and devastating illness. The thought of an entire civilization facing extinction was almost too much to bear. "How long do your people have?" she asked gently. Zoran hesitated, as if afraid to voice the answer aloud. "Based on the current rate of infection and mortality," it said at last, "we estimate that our species will be wiped out within a single Earth year, unless we can find a cure." The words hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the magnitude of the task before them. Evelyn glanced around the room, seeing the same determination etched on the faces of her colleagues. They were the best and brightest minds Earth had to offer, experts in fields ranging from virology to genetics to nanotechnology. If anyone could find a way to save the Keplerians, it was them. "We'll need samples," Dr. Patel said briskly, already making notes on her tablet. "Tissue samples, blood samples, anything you can provide us with. We'll need to study the virus in detail, see how it interacts with your physiology, and try to find a weakness we can exploit." Zoran nodded, reaching into a compartment on its exosuit and retrieving a small, metallic case. "I anticipated your request," it said. "These samples were taken from infected individuals at various stages of the disease. I hope they will be sufficient for your needs." Dr. Patel took the case, handling it with the utmost care. "We'll get started right away," she said. "But I must warn you, this will not be a quick or easy process. We may encounter setbacks, false leads, dead ends. We will need to be patient and persistent if we hope to succeed." Zoran inclined its head in acknowledgement. "I understand," it said. "My people are prepared to offer whatever assistance we can, whether in the form of resources, technology, or knowledge. We are in your debt, and we will not forget the risks you are taking on our behalf." Evelyn felt a swell of pride at the alien's words. It was a testament to the caliber of her team that they had earned the trust and respect of an advanced species like the Keplerians. She knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, filled with countless challenges and obstacles, but she also knew that they had the strength, the intelligence, and the determination to see it through. With a final nod to Zoran, she turned to her team, her eyes blazing with purpose. "You heard the good doctor," she said. "We have work to do. Let's show the galaxy what humanity is made of." As the team dispersed to their various labs and workstations, Evelyn lingered for a moment, watching Zoran as it stared out the window at the vast expanse of the Atacama Desert. She could only imagine the weight of responsibility the alien must be feeling, the fate of an entire species resting on its shoulders. But as she looked around at her colleagues, at the brilliant and dedicated men and women who had dedicated their lives to the pursuit of knowledge and the betterment of all life, she felt a flicker of hope kindle in her heart. They would find a way, she told herself. They had to. The future of two worlds depended on it. The human solution. The days turned into weeks as Evelyn Thorne and her team labored tirelessly to unravel the secrets of the Keplerian virus. They worked in shifts, catching snatches of sleep whenever they could, fueled by a potent mixture of determination, caffeine, and the knowledge that every moment they delayed brought the alien civilization one step closer to extinction. The virus proved to be a formidable adversary, its genetic structure unlike anything they had ever encountered before. It seemed to shift and mutate at an alarming rate, adapting to every attempt they made to neutralize it. But the humans refused to give up, attacking the problem from every angle they could think of. Dr. Amita Patel led the charge on the virological front, studying the virus's replication cycle and searching for vulnerabilities they could exploit. She worked closely with Dr. Kenzie Nakamura, a brilliant geneticist who had pioneered new techniques for mapping and manipulating alien genomes. Together, they made a startling discovery. The Keplerian virus, for all its complexity, shared certain key features with a class of viruses that had once plagued Earth's oceans, a group known as the giant viruses. These ancient pathogens had infected some of the planet's most primitive life forms, but had eventually been brought to heel by the evolution of more sophisticated immune systems. If we can isolate the genetic markers that conferred resistance to these viruses, Dr. Nakamura explained to Evelyn one sleepless night, we may be able to use them as a template for engineering a similar response in the Keplerians. It was a daring idea, one that would require them to splice genes from long-extinct Earth species into the alien genome. But Evelyn knew that they had little choice. The Keplerians were running out of time, and they needed a solution that could be implemented quickly and efficiently. While the geneticists worked on the biological front, Dr. Mikhail Petrov and his team of nanoscientists tackled the problem from a different angle. They had been studying the Keplerians' advanced nanotechnology, marveling at the intricacy and precision of the microscopic machines. If we can reprogram these nanites to target and destroy the viral particles, Dr. Petrov told Evelyn, we could create a kind of artificial immune system, one that could work in tandem with the genetically engineered resistance. It was a bold plan, one that would require them to push the boundaries of both human and Keplerian science. But Evelyn knew that they had the brilliance and the determination to make it work. As the weeks stretched into months, the team made steady progress. Piecing together the elements of their audacious strategy, they worked closely with Zoran, drawing on the aliens' vast knowledge of Keplerian physiology and technology, and collaborating to refine and optimize their designs. Finally, after months of tireless effort, they had a prototype ready for testing. It was a hybrid construct, part biological and part technological, designed to infiltrate the Keplerian body and hunt down the viral invaders with ruthless efficiency. They tested it first on samples of infected tissue, watching in awe as the engineered cells and nanites worked in perfect synchrony to eliminate the virus. Then, with Zoran's permission, they moved on to live subjects, Keplerian volunteers who had contracted the virus and were willing to take the risk of an experimental treatment. The results were nothing short of miraculous. Within hours of receiving the treatment, the volunteers' symptoms began to abate, their bioluminescence flickering back to life as their bodies fought off the invaders. Within days, they were on the road to a full recovery, their immune systems fortified by the human-engineered resistance. Evelyn watched in amazement as the news of their success spread like wildfire through the Keplerian ship. Aliens who had been on the brink of death were now walking and talking, their eyes bright with renewed hope. Zoran itself seemed to glow with pride and gratitude, its skin shimmering with a radiance that Evelyn had never seen before. "You have saved us," the alien said, its voice trembling with emotion. "You have given my people a future, a chance to live and thrive once more. We will never forget what you have done for us." Evelyn felt a lump form in her throat, a swell of pride and humility that threatened to overwhelm her. She had always known that humanity had the potential for greatness, for kindness and compassion on a cosmic scale. But to see it realized in such a tangible way, to know that they had made a real difference in the lives of an entire species, it was almost too much to comprehend. As she looked around at her team, at the exhausted but elated faces of her colleagues, she knew that they had achieved something truly remarkable. They had not only saved the Keplerians, but they had also proven something to themselves and to the galaxy at large. They had shown that humans were more than just a primitive warlike species, more than just a footnote in the annals of galactic history. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species with the ingenuity, the resilience, and the sheer stubborn determination to overcome any obstacle, no matter how daunting. And as Evelyn gazed out at the stars, at the infinite expanse of the universe that awaited them, she felt a sense of hope and excitement wash over her. They had taken their first steps into a larger world, a world where anything was possible, where the limits of what they could achieve were bounded only by the limits of their own imagination. The future was waiting for them, and Evelyn knew that they would meet it head-on, armed with the knowledge and the spirit that had brought them this far. They were human, and they would never stop reaching for the stars. A new alliance. The news of the human success spread like wildfire through the galaxy, carried on the wings of Keplerian faster-than-light communication. Within days, the story of how a primitive species from a backwater planet had saved an advanced civilization from the brink of extinction was the talk of every spacefaring race. For Evelyn Thorne and her team, the accolades and attention were overwhelming. They had gone from obscure scientists to galactic celebrities overnight, their names and faces splashed across news feeds and holoscreens from one end of the Milky Way to the other. But for Evelyn, the true reward was not the fame or the glory, but the knowledge that they had made a real difference in the lives of the Keplerians. She had seen the gratitude in Zoran's eyes, the hope and relief on the faces of the aliens who had been given a second chance at life. And she knew that their work was far from over. The Keplerian virus had been defeated, but the scars it had left on the alien society would take time to heal. There were still countless infected individuals who needed treatment, infrastructure and institutions that needed to be rebuilt, a whole civilization that needed to be brought back from the brink. But the Keplerians were not alone in their struggle. The human team had made it clear that they were in it for the long haul, ready and willing to lend their expertise and their support for as long as it was needed. And their efforts had not gone unnoticed by the wider galactic community. As the news of their success spread, other spacefaring races began to take notice of the small, unassuming species from the third planet of an unremarkable star. They marveled at the humans' resourcefulness and adaptability, their ability to think outside the box and find solutions where others had failed. They saw in humanity a potential ally, a partner in the great cosmic dance of discovery and exploration. And so, in a grand ceremony held on the Keplerian homeworld, the leaders of a dozen different species came together to welcome Earth into the galactic community. They offered their friendship and their support, their knowledge and their resources, all in the spirit of cooperation and mutual benefit. For Evelyn, standing on that alien stage, surrounded by the glittering representatives of 1,000 different worlds, it was a moment of pure, unalloyed wonder. She had dreamed of this day since she was a child, gazing up at the stars and imagining what wonders they might hold. And now, here she was, an ambassador of her species, a living symbol of what humanity could achieve when it set its mind to something. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles to overcome, differences to be bridged and understandings to be reached. But she also knew that they would face those challenges together, as partners and allies, as fellow travelers on the great journey of discovery. And with the ingenuity and determination of the human spirit, and the wisdom and experience of their galactic friends, there was nothing they could not achieve. As the ceremony drew to a close, Zoran stepped forward, its bioluminescent skin glowing with a warm, inviting light. It held out a hand to Evelyn, a gesture of friendship and gratitude that transcended species and culture. Together, it said, its voice ringing out across the assembled throng, "We will build a future brighter than any we have ever known. A future where all species, all worlds, all beings can live in harmony and peace, united in their quest for knowledge and understanding." And as Evelyn took the alien's hand, feeling the warmth and the strength of its grip, she knew that they had taken the first step on that long and wondrous journey. The future was waiting for them, and they would meet it head-on, armed with the courage and the compassion that had brought them this far. For they were human, and they would never stop reaching for the stars, never stop striving to be the best that they could be. And with the help of their new friends and allies, there was no limit to what they could achieve. As the cheers and applause of the assembled aliens washed over her, Evelyn felt a sense of pride and purpose swell within her heart. They had done it. They had shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of, and in doing so, they had forged a bond that would last for generations to come. And as she gazed out at the sea of alien faces, at the glittering tapestry of the cosmos that stretched out before them, she knew that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and they had only just begun to scratch the surface. But with the strength of their convictions, the power of their minds, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship and alliance, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. They would explore and discover, learn and grow, and in doing so, they would become something greater than they had ever been before. For they were human, and the stars were calling to them, beckoning them onward to a future full of infinite promise and possibility. And they would answer that call, now and always, united in their quest for a better tomorrow.